You are watching a quiet episode of your favorite show. The main characters are on a trip. Maybe it is a school festival. Maybe it is a journey to a distant magical land. They finally arrive at an inn, tired from a long day of travel. They walk up to the front desk. The innkeeper, a kind but firm old woman, shakes her head slowly. She looks at her booking ledger. She looks back at the two hopeful characters standing before her. Then she delivers the fateful line. "I'm so sorry, but we only have one room left, and it only has one bed." The background music suddenly shifts, you know. The camera zooms in on the two characters' faces, frozen in a state of polite panic. They look at each other. They look away. The space between them crackles with unspoken tension. This is the moment. It is a scene so common in anime that it has become a beloved, and sometimes mocked, institution. Welcome to the Anime Trope Historian presents There is Only One Bed Trope. This simple setup is a powerful tool in a storyteller's kit. It promises a change in the relationship between two people. Today we're tracing the chaotic, cozy, and sometimes cursed history of the we only have one bed trope in anime. At its core, the only one bed trope is incredibly straightforward. It is a plot device where two characters, who are not yet in an established romantic relationship, find themselves in a situation where they must share a single sleeping space. This is almost never by choice. It is a product of circumstance. A booking error at a hotel, a lack of rooms during a busy festival, or being stranded by a storm are all common catalysts. The key element is the lack of alternatives. There is no other room available. The floor is too cold or too hard. There is simply nowhere else to go. Oh no. Whatever will they do? This lack of choice is what gives the trope its narrative power and its given name. The trope is not just about the physical act of sharing a bed. It is about everything that happens before, during, and after that moment. It is about the initial shock and denial. It is about the awkward negotiation over who gets which side. It is about the rules that are inevitably made and just as inevitably broken. The trope encompasses the entire emotional journey that the characters take over the course of one night. It forces them into a bubble of intimacy, cutting them off from the outside world and from their usual social masks. In the quiet darkness of a shared room, characters often reveal a side of themselves they keep hidden during the day. This scenario is a form of what writers call forced proximity. By putting characters in a situation they cannot easily escape, the story forces them to interact and confront their relationship. The single bed is the ultimate form of forced proximity because it removes physical space, a primary tool we all use to maintain emotional distance. It comes down to, you cannot physically ignore someone who is sleeping a few inches away from you. The shared space becomes a pressure cooker for emotions. Any unspoken attraction, lingering tension, or hidden affection is magnified. While the one-bed scenario feels perfectly at home in anime, its origins are much older. The basic idea of forced proximity as a romantic catalyst can be traced through centuries of literature and oral storytelling. Folk tales and myths from around the world feature stories of travelers who must take shelter together from a storm, heroes and heroines who find themselves sharing a single room at a crowded inn. These early tales understood the inherent drama of forcing two people into an intimate space against their will. It was a simple and effective way to test their character and advance the plot. Think of classic Hollywood films from the 1930s and 40s. A mix-up at a hotel reception desk was a common setup in romantic comedies. A man and a woman, often strangers who initially dislike each other, would be forced to pretend to be a married couple to secure the last available room. The Hays Code, moral guidelines that were followed by film studios between 1934 to 1968, which strictly regulated the moral content in films in North America, meant that the one bed had to be handled carefully, often with a clear physical barrier, but the underlying romantic tension was always the point. These older stories established many of the beats that anime would later adopt. The drama came from the possibility that the barrier might fall. The trope was also common in travel narratives and adventure fiction. When characters are on a long journey, resources are often scarce. They might have to share a small tent, a cabin on a ship, or a single bedroll by a campfire. In these contexts, the shared sleeping space was a practical matter, forcing characters into a state of raw interdependence, often laying the groundwork for a future romance. As anime rom-coms, harems, and shoujo series grew, The only one bed scenario moved from occasional plot twist to staple trope. You start seeing a familiar set of setups. Overbooked in. The group arrives late, and the front desk has one room, one bed left. Of course, the two with the most unresolved tension end up there. Snowed in or stormed in, weather traps characters in a lodge or cabin. Fire crackling, one bed, a lot of shivering, and we need to share blankets for warmth. Within anime episodes, the beats are almost ritualized. Realization. They open the door, see one bed, and freeze. Negotiation. I'll take the floor. No, I will. We can share, it's fine, right? They establish the rules. Pillows down the middle, no touching, strict sleep positions, awkward silence. Then, the nighttime slippage. They talk, confess fears, or drift closer in their sleep. Some external event, thunder, nightmares, cold, pushes them together. And then we have the characters loudly insisting it doesn't mean anything, while the framing, music, and pacing are screaming, this absolutely positively means something. But no matter how it's presented, it nearly always moves the story forward in a significant way. In this video, we will explore this classic trope. The fun is not in the surprise of the situation itself, but in how these specific characters will react to it. Will they argue? Will they blush and stammer? Will one of them nobly offer to sleep on the floor, only to be stopped by the other? The predictability of the setup allows for a focus on character. It is a quiet night that can change everything. For decades, this scene has served as a reliable way to advance romantic subplots. One reason it stays fresh is creators find new ways to play with it. Variations and parodies keep audiences on their toes. The setting is often a source of creativity. A narrow futon in a traditional inn, a tiny tent on a camping trip, two sleeping bags accidentally zipped together. Each setting brings unique challenges and comedic possibilities. In other cases, the trope is subverted. Characters get flustered. A third character bursts in and announces, "There was another room all along." The tension deflates humorously. Extreme versions push comedy and drama. A serious show might include a dark confession or a moment of genuine fear. One character comforts the other through a nightmare or panic attack. These twists keep the familiar setup surprising and impactful. It's a testament to the trope's flexibility across tones and genres. At peak absurdity, the universe itself seems to be shipping the characters. The show indulges the romance while winking at the audience. So why does the only one bed trope still hit so hard? First, it's pure forced proximity. You take two people who are working very hard not to confront their feelings, lock them in a room, and remove the polite escape routes. At least one of them has to sit with the tension, literally. Second, it's about trust and vulnerability. Sharing a sleeping space means trusting the other person not to cross lines, not to judge, and not to take advantage while you're at your most defenseless. That inherent risk makes even innocent cuddling feel like a big emotional step. Third, it's incredibly efficient. In a single night, you can move a relationship from banter to genuine intimacy, reveal secrets in late-night conversations, or crystallize romantic tension that's been simmering for episodes. In modern anime, the trope is often used with more self-awareness. Some shows lean into the fluff and fan service, others treat it comedically or deconstruct it by highlighting consent and discomfort. But whether played straight or subverted, only one bed still gets immediate reactions from viewers. Important side note, let's talk about consent, discomfort, and storytelling responsibility. While the only one bed trope is often played for lighthearted fun, modern audiences and creators have become more attuned to the complex issues it can raise, particularly around the topic of consent. At its core, the trope involves a situation where at least one character is uncomfortable. The humor or drama often comes from their embarrassment and lack of agency. There is often an implicit power imbalance in the scenario. When one character's reluctance is ignored or brushed aside by the other, a good storyteller must handle this dynamic with care. The most successful modern takes on the trope are those that acknowledge boundaries and respect boundaries even as the situation pushes them. These modern adaptations do not rob the trope of its power, they often enhance it. When two characters openly discuss their boundaries and agree to share a space with mutual respect, the resulting connection can feel even deeper and more meaningful. It shows that their growing intimacy is built on a foundation of trust communication, not just on forced circumstance. The fan reaction fandom, shipping, and memes. The only one bed trope is a major cultural touchstone for the anime fan community. For fans invested in a potential romance, shipping, this trope is pure gold. When an episode with this trope airs, fan forums light up, social media lights up, art websites light up, artists draw favorite pairings in one-bed scenarios. The trope has its own dedicated tag on fan fiction archives. Its predictable beats are easy to satirize. People create bingo cards dedicated to the cliché. Popular formats rank different one-bed scenes. Others create compilations of the most awkward or romantic examples. Even casual fans recognize the situation and the humor. The fan reaction is a crucial part of the trope's life cycle. Creators notice how much fans enjoy these scenes. The fandom's love creates a positive feedback loop, ensuring anime hotel clerks will keep running short on twin rooms. The perils of a shortcut. When the trope feels lazy, it can become a lazy storytelling shortcut. It feels contrived and unearned. The clearest sign of laziness is when it feels out of character. No prior attraction. A single night rarely resolves deep conflicts or conjures feelings from thin air. The groundwork for connection must already exist. The shared bed should catalyze existing sparks, not try to create fire from nothing. Another pitfall: scenes with no lasting consequences. A good one bed should be a turning point. Introduce a new level of awareness. Future interactions should be shaded by that night. The trope is a tool. Its power depends on the writer's skill. In thoughtful hands, it explores vulnerability. In lazy hands, it becomes hollow, a box-ticking cliché. The difference comes down to details: character consistency, emotional honesty, and meaningful consequences. The "there is only one bed" trope is a cornerstone of romantic storytelling in anime, a familiar and beloved landmark on the landscape of the medium. It is a simple premise with a powerful effect and create unforgettable moments of tension and intimacy. Born from older traditions in literature and older traditions in film, its beats are a comforting and effective narrative dance. Comedy drama. It has become a vital part of fan culture and raises important questions about consent, respecting character boundaries while still delivering a satisfying romantic payoff. One Room Left can still send a ripple of excitement through an audience. Tell me your favorite one-bed scenario: hotel, cabin, snowstorm, convention, without naming the anime, and I'll see if other people can guess which show you're talking about in the comments. Completely scientific rating incoming. Cultural impact. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. In romance fandoms, only one bed is basically a brand name. Completely scientific rating incoming. Cultural impact. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. In romance fandoms, only one bed is basically a brand name. Annoyance potential. 5 out of 10. If it feels too forced or ignores consent, it can backfire quickly. Meme longevity. 9 out of 10. From fanfic tags to TikToks, "there's only one bed" remains one of the internet's favorite scenario buttons. Verdict: suspiciously unrealistic and dangerously effective. The "we only have one bed" trope condenses an entire slow burn into one night of shared blankets and shared feelings. As long as romance stories want to push characters together faster than real life would, hotels will keep mysteriously running out of twin rooms.